Is Surmount peak gaming for mountain climbers? Hello, my name is Kurosh, and welcome to another episode of the KJP Show. I'm your host, and what we do on this show is we like to celebrate and elevate indie games and game developers. And that's just what we're going to do today. Today we're going to talk about Surmount, an indie game developed by two individuals, Jasper Oprel and Indiana Jonas. And they collaborated on this game remotely between the Netherlands and France. And this game is a project of theirs that they've developed over the last few years, and it essentially takes, if I were to kind of take based off of inspiration and things that I'm familiar with, I'm not necessarily a professional rock climber by any means or imagination, but if you remember the part of Breath of the Wild where you're always climbing and there's that stamina bar, imagine that, but now you're in a silly kind of fun rock climbing game of your own. And now you've just explored that to the nth degree. That's what Surmount does. Surmount takes that basic just premise of like endurance and how far you can get and everything, and it builds a whole game around. Surmount is a free-flowing kind of silly take on rock climbing. It captures the essence of what rock climbing is by taking you on this, like, you create your character, you go through and you're at the base of a mountain or various mountains, and you're trying to essentially reach the peak. And as you go through your adventures to do so, the routes and the ways in which you do it are a little bit more on the sillier side. So while you may be belaying and rock climbing, and I'm going to insert random rock climbing words here because I'm not a professional rock climber by any stretch of the imagination, but it takes that essence of what it is and brings it down so that the someone who's a novice or who's kind of interested or curious or just thinks it looks fun, like myself, gets a chance to experience it in a fun way in a gaming experience. One of the cool things about Surmount that I like that stuck with me in my impressions of this is the unique characters you come across and kind of just the general tone that it carries. The characters throughout the game that you run into, whether they be just random NPCs or key characters at the base of the camp that you're checking in with throughout each of your outings, are really funny and silly and have their own little quirks. And then on the other side, you have the silliness of just the rock climbing. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is, as you're going through a given route, let's say you're climbing around and you're trying to figure out how to get from point A to point B, there might be a gust of wind that kind of curves around an edge of a boulder, and you can essentially swing yourself, building enough momentum and then letting go and the wind will carry you to the next destination you need to get. That's the level of, I guess, realism versus silliness that you can expect from this game, and it's not shy about it at all. It's really fun, it's very enjoyable, it leans into it if anything, and I think it's to its strength, with the tone of the way the characters are, with the world that it has. It makes that very fun, but it's also very challenging. When you go through those different outings and different challenges that you're going through from point A to point B or however you're trying to get, those, while how you get there can be crazy or zany or silly, the fact of figuring it out is still very much a puzzle, and it's very challenging in that way because you have an endurance or a stamina, I should say. If you're familiar with Breath of the Wild, it's very similar to that, where there's a circle wheel that essentially shows how much longer you can even grip any surface for. And I feel like, much like how the two developers collaborated to make this game, they've made the game a very fun and collaborative space as well. It is co-op. You can play this. I played this on PC, but it is available as well on Switch, and I think it's perfect for that environment, for the party style game, or maybe just a couch co-op style game, where you get together with a friend and you're both trying to figure out how to traverse a mountain together, or who can get there first, and other different avenues and ways to play. And so that brings us back to our question: is Surmount peak gaming for mountain climbers? I think if it's not, it's very close. I know there's a few other mountain climbing games in the genre, in the space of climbing and challenging of the puzzles for rock climbing and mountain climbing in general, but I like the take that Surmount has taken. It's very unique, it's very charming and very silly, and it's definitely got my stamp for a recommendation if any of that sounds interesting to you. And I'd like to say that Surmount is out now, so you can find it on Steam, on Epic, and on Switch. Highly recommend it. I definitely feel like if you leaning in towards the co-op play, Switch might be the easiest place to go to. I can't speak for certain from my experience. I didn't try any of the co-op to speak of whether it's online or couch co-op. So that's something I do have to figure out, and I'll try to put in the show notes in the description to clarify. And that's our impressions of Surmount, this rock climbing game that has gotten me in the giggles, and it's a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoyed this video, this impressions. If you've had a chance to play or demo or just are curious about it any further, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you think, what questions you might have. If you're even interested in this sort of game, I'd love to know what catches your eye or what really grabbed you from your experience. Thank you again for joining me today on the KJP show. I appreciate your time, and until next time, I'll catch you later.